Okay, should work now. Hopefully. Okay, so we have different providers. Number one, in at home, BT, EE, Virgin Media, etc., etc., etc. Each one of them will have a different URL. A URL اللي انتوا بتحطوها هنا في البراوزر. BT usually is 192.168.1.254. So when I go to that URL, it will prompt me with the page, hopefully. Here you go. Oops. Sorry, the Wi-Fi is far. So there you go. Okay. We'll try opening again. Technicalities. I'm just gonna be closer to the Wi-Fi. Okay. By the way, we can do this like if you guys like, we can do this like maybe half an hour every month, like on a Sunday or something, to go more like into details if people have like problems at home or they want to, you know, raise concerns. Okay. If this opens, I hope it does. Mm-hmm. Okay. So في option اسمه when I go to this page في option it's advanced settings وبعد كده في حاجة اسمها access control. That's on BT. So on other providers it will be something similar like parental control or something like that. If I click on it, it will ask me for an admin password. الادمن password ده هتلاقوه on the back of the router. There is a Wi-Fi password and then there is an admin password. هو ده الادمن password that we want. So I'm gonna put the admin password here. Okay, I'm gonna zoom out a bit. Okay, so it will explain what it is in the setting, and then there is access control. Now it's off, so you can visit any website, any content. وبعدين if you click on, then you can then that will enable it, and your parental control will be enabled, but you have to save. Few options tanya like when do I want to, if I want a particular device to have access control and a particular device to not have access control كده. بس يعني usually it's good يعني to filter every device from router. دي أول حاجة. دي يعني it's something that you can do like very easily, and straight away you can add that guard, that safeguard that will make other settings in the future easier. Because احنا اتكلمنا في الموضوع ده, بس as many as settings as you do, this will help you out, and you would hope to get rid of 99% of content that you don't want your child to see or view. But there is always some sort of workaround of some sort. يعني we have to be careful. يعني ساعات ممكن نقول احنا عملنا كل الحاجات دي يعني our children are safe, بس as you guys spoke before, it's good to have a communication with your child and stuff. and to be their friend and to understand what they do during the day and stuff, because there will be a workaround at some point. Yani زي VPN. If you heard about VPN, VPN is basically virtual something network, which is it can run on a phone or a device like a laptop, and when you enable a VPN, you transform all your traffic, and all your traffic will get diverted to a different server, so you can allow or not allow certain privacies, content, and stuff like that. So when you enable VPN, then all router settings don't matter anymore. So we have to be careful of that. So VPN can actually override everything that you do through a router. Okay. أسئلة or questions? Yeah.
Just make sure to mention that there's something pretty much like all this security, it's going to divert the traffic from this. So please don't mention it here. Because if you already know it, well, you mention it in insertion. Is that easy to download? It's an app.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. You can block VPN, but it's hard. You need to understand. Yeah. 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 Yeah, there's always ways to get around it. يعني VPN أنا بتكلم if VPN is used badly, you can override router settings. But VPN, I think intentionally was done for a good cause. يعني مثلا أنا شغال في company and I want to protect my data inside the company only. So I use a VPN from my computer to access my intranet at work, so I can use the network inside work. Exactly, yeah. So anyone from home, working from home, needs to access. If working from home, you need to VPN in order to work from home and access the internal network of your company. So it can, as anything, it can be used as a good thing, but it also has a way around to modify your parental controls to a bad thing. Okay, this is like one of the softwares called NordVPN. Usually companies give you like 3 months for free, and then you can, and then it's payable. But usually, people will just get you 3 months and then create another email, create another 3 months, and then just go over it. Yeah, some people do this. You can, if you install certain softwares on their phone, which I'm gonna come to. يعني أنا لو في حاجات في softwares كده زي حاجة اسمها Google Family Link. You can restrict app installments, so your child wouldn't be allowed to install certain apps. So you could, but say, yeah, that's, I'm not gonna go into details of Google Family Link now, but I'm gonna give you a picture of iOS اللي هو operating system بتاع iPhone و iPad عشان تعرفوا what we could do with them, but that would work with Android with Google Family Link. So that's router. So we went through the router settings. Now, internet content. On devices like laptops, if you run like Chrome, Google Chrome, there is extensions like parental control this here, and it blocks like malware, it blocks pornographic content وحاجات كده. You can add these extensions. Malware is a type of virus. Usually you see it when an advert pops up. So that's a malware. So you can block this pop-up content. It will always open up, but if you have something like this enabled, the content will just be hidden, so you won't see it. Again, if you have root settings, access control, parental control enabled, that should cover this. But this is an extra god. Okay? Now, I'm going to jump on the iPad, because I know a lot of you guys have iPhones. نعم السكرين دي تعباني. I'm gonna try this. Okay. No, don't like it. Okay. Okay, هو صغير يعني it's a bit small. Can you see? One second, let me see if I can make it bigger. Where's the magnifying? Don't know. It's not working. Okay. I'm gonna go very, very slowly. Okay. When you go to the settings of your phone, iPhone this time we're talking about, there is something called screen time. If I find it. No, don't worry. Okay, screen time. Screen time. Yeah. Screen time, the dashboard will show how long you stay on the phone, how long the screen is on. If you go settings and you search screen time. So first thing, it will show you your pattern. So if you see the dashboard for the iPad of church, there's Wednesday, Friday, I think Sunday, daily average 2 hours. هم القداسات. Okay? لما القداسات شغالة بتشوفوا السكرين تايم اهو it gets up. You can see activity, shows you into details. So that's the dashboard, just the graph. Now the important settings. في حاجة اسمها downtime, first setting. This is to schedule your child's phone to be enabled only at certain times. So I can schedule وبعدين بيسألني do you want to schedule every day or do you want to customize it? You can customize it or you can say every day. يعني أنا from say I think it works the other way around. So if I say من 8 بالليل ل 8 الصبح, the phone is not going to be enabled. Once you do a setting, at the end you can set a PIN code. And it's different than the PIN code of the device. The whole device. Nothing would work. Downtime means your phone is down or your iPad is down, whatever. Nothing. Haram, yeah. No, you can't access anything. Yeah. I don't think so. We can try it. I'm not going to activate it now. فدي أول حاجة, دي downtime. So disable completely everything. Okay? Number 2, very important this. App limits. If I click on app limits, وبعدين I click on add a limit, there is categories, and you can select all the category or you can select a particular app in the phone. So if it was my iPhone now, social will have, I don't know, WhatsApp, Instagram, whatever. And I can choose individually apps like this. I'm using messages. And if I press next, I can say how long is my child or my adult allowed to use this app for. And you can set this every day, or you can set it custom, like on Monday to Wednesday, something, stuff like that. Okay.
Is there any application you can monitor another device?
Yes. Yes. Best if you say that your child is cleverer than this, he will always try to disable something, and if he does it, he can't do anything about it. You can with Satan. Yeah. Yeah. Family link. Yeah, Google Family Link. You can do that. Yeah, that's the problem. Yeah. So uncle, في apps. خلاص, we can recruit him in the IT world, and we can use his skills. But you can limit how much you can surf on the internet. Yes, I understand. And I can show you how to block certain websites. I'll show you. Okay. So you can add a limit to apps, how long to use it for. And also, she asked me a good question. Family Link does exactly what Mark said. Have you used Family Link? Google Family Link. So you can monitor from your device what your child's device is using, what apps are they using, and stuff like that. And they cannot delete an app, and they cannot install apps. Yes. But this is up to 12 years old. And then at 13 years old, Google requires the child to have an account, and then you will have less admin controls. So, yeah, so up to 13 is very good, very powerful. Then some bits get a bit more relaxed. It's a Google thing. When you set up the account. Yeah, that's the problem with certain apps. لازم تعمل معهم account. يعني you have to create a Google account to use Google Family Link. For example, the child's age. So say for example, your child has Google Family on his phone, but if he's over than 13 years old, then some of the restrictions are not that strict. You can still do restrictions, you can still monitor, but it's a bit more relaxed. The standard is exactly, that's what Mark mentioned as well. So app limits is very powerful. And because Mark was saying about social media and how it's like very like addictive, you can limit it for a span of time daily. And again, if you talk to your child and you explain why you're doing this, then it's easier than, just block it and just, that's it. You got 5 minutes on Instagram today and that's it. So app limits really, really powerful. But then there is communication limits. So you can allow communication with your child through certain contexts only. If you do restrictions and I think that's what it probably is saying, that maybe if your phone is disabled, the only communications in can be certain contacts only. That, I think this is being added after a lot of incidents where children were receiving messages from people that they didn't know, and they were just talking to them, and so I think this is an added benefit to this settings. So it's asking me here, do you want to allow everybody to communicate with them, certain groups or certain contacts? Is it so far okay? Cool. Here you go, during downtime, here you go. Now, say for example, we have these app limits on. You can still allow certain apps to be available at all times. So say for example, I've limited my child to have half an hour of social media a day. And say for example, Messages is a social media app. You can unrestrict only Messages, either by the other settings or by here. If I go to, here you go, Messages already enabled. So Messages will always be enabled even though you set the app limit to social media of like half an hour daily. So that is a third settings. Now, content. So this is the second guard for content online. So we talked about the router settings. So this is the second step. This is from the device. First one was general across all devices. Okay? This is limited to the device, or an added guard to the device. So if I enable this, it will then show me a lot of settings. So the one that we are interested on is content restriction. And if I click on that, it will show me some more options. So web content is the one that we're concerned about. So if I click on web content, fee-free options, unrestricted, limit adult websites, and allowed websites. Sorry, allowed websites. It will block everything except the website you add here. So if I want to add, say, I don't know, Google, and up here I say google.com. So now I've added Google to be allowed as a website. So this is very good if you want your child only to have access to particular websites. So school, don't know, what else? School. CCBC, and stuff like that. And then the second option is limit adult websites. So this will block everything that is adult. Again, this is a second guard. It won't cover everything, but it is very important to add it. Okay? So if I leave this as is, any questions? Yeah. Like what? What? Yeah. Yeah. So Google is very clever. Google searches and all the time it crawls website to identify the content, even if the provider does not say what content it is. So say for example, I'm a new company. My name, the company is, I don't know, Twitter. Okay. If I develop my app and I say this is fine, it's safe for kids, but then you go to Twitter and it's not safe. Okay. So Google usually crawls the website, and if identifies content is adult, it should block it. But that is not always the case. Because if Twitter blocks it, then Google is not going to be allowed to block it because it doesn't identify it. Do you know what I mean?
Things like that in a safe website. So sometimes it appears.
That's called malware. That is malware. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah. That is a bit more hard to block. Best if you have the router settings on, it should block 99% of it. So malware usually it's, yeah. If I'm a good hacker, I can do a malware that goes over the guard. So it is a bit hard. But usually if you have these guards, it should block it. Again, nothing is going to be 100%. But احنا we try as much as we can to, prevent. So yeah. So what I was saying before, contents of website usually are automatically blocked. Best ساعات, if a company is new or a website is new, sometimes, even if it's an adult content, it might not be blocked straight away. But see, usually Google will block it, and then if your router has that enabled, they block it automatically. Any other questions? Don't are you? Are you gonna do yours? No, thank you. So I think if you want to try this at home, if you have ET, I showed you how to do it, the router. But if you go home and try to enable the parental control on router, and if you can't, you can, like, we can do like a half an hour, like every 4 weeks or something like that. We can talk about it, and I can maybe help you in your like query. Maybe that, I don't know, it's something that you're interested in. And then next time maybe we can talk about Family Link, because it's very powerful, but it's vast. You can do so many settings, and it's a bit complicated. So الكونتنت restriction من الروتر ده على الواي فاي كله. ده اول حاجه انا وريتها لكم اللي هو الروتر سيتنجز، ده الكونتنت restriction. No, it's not a limit. No, الروتر content ده ممكن you can add certain website on it to be allowed for a particular device. However, if for some reason your router resets, that will just auto removes it, because your device has an IP address, has like a particular identifier. لو الروتر عمل reset, identifier ده بيتغير next time you connect. just لو عايز انت تعملي limit لويب سايت معين. بس if you want to do parental control enabled for adult content, you can do that parental control, and it's always on حتى لو reset happened. But if you wanted to add only certain websites for IP addresses for devices من الrouter, that is, it will work, but ساعات ممكن a reset can just reset the whole thing. So it's always good to do router, نعمل router settings, and then the device settings. Oh yeah. لو child device has like a SIM card, 4G, 5G, whatever, when they do 6G in the future, your router settings is not going to matter, because you've got data and it's coming from your data provider. We're using the mobile data, but you can show you. Yeah, يعني أنا عندي EE. I can enable parenting control on EE. Oh, it's gonna show. Okay. Yeah. Oh no, you can't do that. So somewhere, and أنا عندي EE. Here you go, settings and permissions. Parental controls. It's a settings. Yeah. So yeah, for EE you've got settings called parental controls, and you go here and you can change it from here. Vodafone Yeah, if you have a VPN, طبعا, that's all overwritten. So if you have a SIM card that is connected to your account, you can do it from your account, not from their device. Yeah, no, if I have, say for example, if Natalie is connected to my account on EE, I can change her settings from my account. If she's my dependent. Dependent? Dependee? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, VPN will override stuff. اهو جون جالك اهو. جون كان بيسمع من ورا على فكرة.
You have to find the alternative. You have to find alternatives to satisfy them.
Yeah.
Unless you take the phone, and that's not the solution because ممكن مرة تانية تعملها. The withdrawal effects from social media are same as drugs. So that dopamine cycle, if you stop it and take their phone, it's actually the worst way to do it. If you take the phone and you take an aggressive act, it might not be the best solution. There will always be withdrawal effects from this dopamine cycle. So how do you have to direct it to something else. You have to direct it to the right thing.
Yeah, and we had a good idea. We said we could bring like a box زي بتاع العطا كده, and we can have anyone that wants to ask a question, even if it's like really embarrassing, they can just anonymously write it, put it in the box, and then every month we'll just answer them. Like, oh, hey, the box, here you go. Sorry, I came late. The box out. If anyone has any questions, can put in the box.
يمكن يحل لنا كل المشاكل.
you going?
جماعة فينا نفس نسمع حاجة تانية كمان شوية على المنتل هيلث effect of social media والinternet addiction on mental health. Are we still okay with that? Do you طب قولي بلاش كفاية كده.
لا مش بلاش يعني بقول لهم we can do it another time مثلا on its own.
Do you want us to do this another time or shall we talk about it briefly now? We can even do it outside and have a drink and something and we can sit down. What do you think? Today? No? People are too tired to answer the question. Nobody will be upset. Do you want us to continue with just one more talk or shall we leave it at that? We can do it here or we can do it outside. How long? It will be 20 minutes maximum and we can adjust a timer. We can just, once the timer is on. Okay. The problem with the whole is we may not have the live stream. لا كمان اللايف ستريم مش هيبقى straight forward يعني. Do you want to do 15 minutes هنا؟ ولا ايه؟
So maybe بلاش السلايدز.
Okay.
ولا ايه علشان نتكلم انا يعني I use them as prompts ولا ايه؟
طبعا نعملهم بالمرة. مدام فيفيان قالت فكرة حلوة قوي إن ممكن المرة الجاية أو one way of delivering this rather than just giving talks إن إحنا have scenarios and we discuss what could we do. So my child came from school and talked about his friend is having another relationship with another boy. How should we respond and this kind of thing. ايوه specifically الواحد يعمل ايه ونعمل زي رول بلاي والولد بيتكلم معترض على الكلام وكده. ما بالظبط انا بتكلم على النقطه دي. embarrassing questions. باولو سوري باولو ممكن تساعدنا عشان
في presentation.
For those who don't know يعني Mariam is a child psychiatrist. So she should know what she's talking about.
يعني I think we've heard loads النهارده about the social media and the impact and all the dangers of it. I put here the title as triple-edged sword because I think one of the things for our children to hear our point of view, they need to be confident that we understand their point of view. So if we all heavy-handed talking about just the harm of the social media and the harm of the internet, it's not going to go down well because we're not acknowledging the benefits. And the issue is that all of us use the media and all of us think that we use it for good, but we worried about our children that they will make misuse of the media. So to get anyone to change their behavior, to understand where we're coming from, they need to be confident that we understand where they're coming from. Does this make sense? So I think before we talk about the harm, can you hear me without the data? Huh? I think so. هو راح تاني ليه؟
Sorry, I'm gonna treat you like the Pope. It's fine.
ماشي. Thank you. No. That much easier. Thank you. The boy is not. It's not showing.
بس عشان بيتفق.
So all of us need to acknowledge the current reality of that. All of us use the social media, and you know, hands up if you spend a whole day without going on any social media sites. I'm saying hands up if you go for a whole day, 24 hours without going on the media. ماشي؟ So the majority of us use the social media and there are positive in it. Would you acknowledge that there are positive in it? That it's not all doom and gloom? Lots and lots of positive in that. But obviously we focusing on the harm because we're worried about the misuse of it. But as I said, before we go into the harm, we need to acknowledge that we understand where you're coming from because we use it as well, and these are the benefit of it, but we need to make sure that we're using it for the good. So we do interact with family and friends. We join online community. We've got church groups. All the access to all the sermon and the days, all the talks that the access that we have from a even religious point of view is all online. If you think about the COVID time and how life would have been without internet access, life would have been more difficult. So the Zoom and the team time and how is that impacted positively on it? It can actually, for people who are lonely and on their own, it can be really positive to help them to communicate with family, with friends. Yani we know lots of people who their only way of communicating with the outside world is the internet and social media. So this, we can't ignore that. And paradoxically, it can actually help people confidence and self-esteem. If you're connecting with people and you're making online friends when you wouldn't have otherwise been able to because of a disability or because of lack of mobility or because of you don't have a car and you don't drive, you're elderly, whatever. There are lots of reasons that people are really restricted in social contact. So it can give you that good connection and self-esteem. So it can be positive on a mental health, from a mental health perspective. But so that is and also you have to acknowledge that all of us, or majority of us who do work, they do work online, and you spend quite a bit of time. All kids have laptops now, the assisted learning on many apps, so it can help with education and learning. You've got kids that teach themselves how to speak different language, how to play instruments. So we've got to acknowledge that there are lots of positives. أنا مش عارفة ليه however, then we need to think about then. So it is about how to use it. Lots of things in life come with positive. It's meant to be for good. Anything basic. You think about food, yeah? We got variety of food. We can eat. We can enjoy. We need to eat. We need to grow. We need to have good diet. But we can misuse eating, صح? And it can be harmful. So in the same way, everything has got the two sides of it. So when we talk about the negative, and we talked about, I think I want you to tell me just if we make very basic lists of what would be I think you've seen the first one, but if you think about what is the negative of them, we've said a lot of positive. What would be the first on the list in terms of negatives? It's time. What else? Too much screen, so people can get headaches and physical and posture wise, so you can have problem neck and back and shoulder issue. People can exacerbate migraine if they have migraines. Right, that's a very good one because you got virtual people almost sometimes that spending time, they live life what we call sometimes virtual life. So you're spending too much online, and you may well be making friends and having good connection and feeling good about yourself for a bit of time, but you're actually ignoring the people around you, the real people around you. So you have, and I think if we visualize ourselves in our living room, sometimes we sit and everyone's got the mobile and we're not actually talking to each other. And that is one of the biggest problems with the access, the easy access to that device that we have in our hand. Just literally, and that is what the dopamine thing that everyone has talked about before, the easy access to information, easy access to jokes, easy access to news. So it's very attractive, yeah? But the biggest issue is that we're ignoring everyone around us. So there is an element of it, obviously, we indulging in online life, and we're ignoring the real life. Yeah, we'll possibly. Right, so we've talked about too much time, extension of virtual communication, impact on, and can you imagine, because people now, how many times we think about calling a friend and we actually go to texting. I do that sometimes. But I have to say I've learned this from people, because I feel like, well, maybe they don't want phone calls because they've texted me before, so I will text again. But actually, I still prefer to call people. But we learn from each other. If you're only texting me, maybe I get the impression that you don't want me to call. So but that means then it's all texting. So what we're losing out on, communication skills. Because writing things down is different from speaking to people face to face. And what do you think is the danger of that when we just talking to people by texting? يعني التوحد, if you talk about autism per se, that's a developmental problem, but we lose the skills of actual communication, direct communication, because a lot of our communication is non-verbal communication. So even if you substitute the verbal talk to texting, you lose the meaning between the lines. When we talk to each other, we've got the tone of voice, we've got the eye contact, we've got the facial expression, you've got your body language, and you learn a lot from that, and you communicate a lot from that. So if you say to someone, sorry, face to face, a lot come that is non-verbal with it than saying sorry in a text. Do you see what I mean? But then we're losing out on actual communication skills. So then when we come to communicate with people face-to-face, you feel a bit out of practice. And some people during the corona time, one of the biggest issues that we've had in terms of emotional well-being, that people have got used to not being out, not communicating with people, the comfort of their own home. So it become a massive adjustment going out back in the community and seeing people face-to-face. So that confidence and that communication skills was compromised, if you like, because of the all online stuff. You may be wondering why I'm supposed to be talking about mental health, but I will come to that in a minute. Right. One of the biggest things as well, there is a negative impact on academic achievement and learning, because kids are spending a lot of time talking to friends, and they feel like it's almost, I've got to answer, because otherwise they will get annoyed with me. And you hear it from young people themselves, telling them how annoyed or anxious or even depressed they feel when people are not straight away responding to their messages. So they feel absolutely, so that sense of an anxiety, sense of disappointment, sense of what have I done wrong? So they make a massive issue that people are not straight away responding. So they got used to sending a message and having a reply straight away. When you don't get that, they feel there is something they've done wrong, and they dwell on things, and then they can be aggressive in their responses, and they can be demanding, and that ruin relationships then, because some people they don't have the time to respond straight away. Can you see how things can get complicated when people are used to immediate responses? The other thing is when you do that, people actually, not only it's impacting negatively on the school and the learning and the family time, some people don't sleep because they feel it's not amazing. We see this all the time. People are coming and saying they're not sleeping well because they are online with friends all the time. And some of them feel they've got a duty because someone is upset, someone has got a problem, someone is wanting their help, and they feel like they've got to be there available for them. But then they're up till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning dealing with all sorts of issues and getting anxious and actually depressed themselves, and then they don't get up for school in time. So there are very practical problems. So that issue about texting at night is a big issue. And a lot of young people that we see that you have issue with sleep, is a lot of it to do with contact in the middle of the night with online. A lot of them also, some of them for a good reason, they feel like they need to be available for their friends, but those friends could be going through a rough time and they can't help them, and they're not seeking help in their own right. So there would be young people that's taking lots of other people's problems on board, and they can't themselves resolve these issues, and they get quite burdened. And then you see them, and actually some of them would tell you that I've taken on a lot more than I can deal with. I want to be helpful, I want to be nice, I want to be kind, but I can't deal with all of that. So there is overwhelming level of information coming to young people. Does this make sense? So there is one danger is about how overwhelming these messages can be, from right, left, and center, coming from, and you feel like, obviously, as a grown-up, sometimes you give up on everything for a while. You ignore all the messages because you can't keep up, yeah? Not because you don't care, but you really need to protect yourself, protect your time. You've got to prioritize, but young people not always able to do that. And that is what I was saying initially about when they're young, you've got to help them to be on control, and you hope as they grow older, they will be able to put that, they draw the line somewhere themselves, rather than you. So we've talked about overwhelming level, and obviously, although we talked about access to information that is extremely useful, and we all appreciate how easy to access valuable information, there is lots of poor sites available. And not only poor information, is like, do you remember the Corona time and all those conspiracy theories about the vaccine? You may be one of them and believe in them, but there was lots of things that you wouldn't know what the woods from the trees, some false information, some fake information, all sorts of information, and young people are exposed to all of that. So it's about how to actually know what is right from wrong, or what is accurate and what is not accurate. And there is on TV lots of programs about artificial intelligence and how these fake video clips about really imitating people saying things that are completely, so they're using famous figures to communicate a message when actually it's all engineered, it's not real. So you're hearing a person that you think you're hearing who you're hearing, but it's not. So there is a lot of misleading. And the other thing about a bit comparison and jealousy, because this is not, you may think that from a Christian point of view, we try to help your children not to make comparison. Even in the school time in Egypt, it's very common. For example, your child come from school. I remember coming from school, and I got this mark, and the question would be, what was the top mark? Well, that doesn't. So we culturally, I think there is a bit of comparison that we plant the seed sometimes about who's the best or who's, particularly school stuff. I don't recall other things, but all of us try to help the kids to be their best and to actually achieve their potential and not to compare themselves with others. That is good principle in that you're not planting that seed about comparison. But with all the information that they see online and with all this, obviously people usually post all the positive stuff. They've been on holiday, they've been on a party, they bought this, they bought that, they've got presents. And you feel like everyone is having a good time, and you may feel that you're not in that place. You're not in the same place. And with all what you're hearing, all these glamorous things about people, lives, and you think you're not, then you struggle to feel as if you're not able to live up to those expectations or that level of life. Whereas the reality is only people post very little. That is not the entire life, and obviously very, very few people that would share the sad things or the struggle or so that's a big issue for young people, that they see how people living their life out there and they compare and they feel they're not living up to it. Right, so all of that lead to whether people feel emotionally, so if you think about all those negatives, all of this lead to emotional difficulties. Not necessarily to outright mental illness, but you can imagine if people losing their, wasting their time, not paying attention to the school or learning, losing out on family life, losing out communication skills, feeling that they compare themselves with everyone else and they don't feel as good as other people, that loss of confidence, that loss of self-esteem, that loss of learning, that loss of, all of those are the bread and butter of emotional well-being. So we're not talking, again, about someone who develops serious mental illness, but all of these foundations that all of us try to build up as a foundation for good emotional health and good psychological functioning, we're losing out on all of it. So then that would lead to mental health difficulties, as in symptoms of anxiety, of depression, because people feel not satisfied, they're not happy, they can, because when they and you find sometimes young people come and you feel the family is no major issue about the family, no major issues about school, but the child is not in a good place and they may be miserable, and it takes ages sometimes to get the child to tell you what is going on, what is life is like online for them, and what they've been exposed to, but it's not always come out. You need some, even professionally, you need to build up a trusting relationship for people to come out and say, this is what is going on, this is what I'm hearing, this is what people are telling me. I think one of the biggest issue, particularly for girls online, is that again, those images and those pictures that they see of the ideal body figure or ideal way of looking is a massive issue. A lot of these photos are actually, what do you call it, brushed or photo shoot, or so they're not real, yeah? They're absolutely not real. But kids or a teenager would look at this and they feel that, well, that is the ideal image, or that is how the face should look like, or that is how the hair or whatever. So they, again, the comparison and feeling like, well, I don't look anyway like this, and I've got a long way to go, and it's almost like a mountain to climb. So massive issue about how girls in particular view themselves and their body image, and that would feed into low confidence, low self-esteem, and outright eating disorder. I'm not going to talk in details about that, but that is how eating disorder develop when you start with a negative body image and you feel like, well, you need to be light, you need to lose weight. Well, all girls think about losing weight at some point, and that is not a major issue. But when they become preoccupied with it and become a target, with all these images that they see online of a ideal figure, yeah, and they've got this unrealistic expectation of how their body should be, and they cannot match it. That is how that is the beginning. That would be an eating disorder in the making, because their mindset is focused on their body as their way of proving themselves or feeling confident about things. We've talked about addiction because it is almost addictive, because of the dopamine thing, because it's feeding into a bad habit. The other thing about self-harm, for example, sometimes we have schools that you know, in the school there is already established a WhatsApp group that actually they support each other, talk about self-harming behavior, way of self-harming, and they compare, and it's almost like a competition who is feeling worse than others. It sounds terrible, but that is what happens sometimes. It's almost like I've had people that would post images of their self-harm, and then they want to prove that actually their mental state or is worse than the other by how bad the self-harm is. يعني حاجات, but that is how bad people got to. Yeah, shall we? And as the worst thing, obviously, is sometimes actually there is suicidal talks going around in some of those groups, not only about self-harm, and when they fall out, they actually send very nasty messages about just ridiculing its other emotional problems, about when they feel that the emotional needs become too much, they may actually carelessly say, well, you might as well go and kill yourself, for example. So things really, hurtful things can be, but this is at extreme end of it. So I feel I'm thinking right from the beginning about wasting your time to the point actually overtaking your life. And it starts from a very mild, relatively benign thing to actually quite a serious mental health issues. And as I said, the foundation about the confidence, the self-esteem, relationships, and learning, all of these are foundation of well-being, and all of this can be harmed through the media. Okay, thank you.
مريم تعيش وتعمل
تعيش بالشكر.